My name is Emily Gogolak, and I'm a journalist based mostly in New York. I'm here in Tegucigalpa and around Honduras on a Pulitzer grant for a story that I've been working on for a long time about forced migration and internal displacement and femicides and immigration detention in the U.S. and deportations. I spent much time this past summer in 2015 inside family detention centers in South Texas for immigrant mothers crossing the border and apprehended with children. The vast majority of them are asylum seekers, and in my time inside the detention centers, I met with a lot of women from Honduras. I thought I was going to be writing about the centers themselves, but I found that the story I really needed to write was the story of the women who were detained, but also the women who were deported. So my Pulitzer grant is to be here and report on this half of the story in Honduras. So when I've been here, I've been focusing on the context of violence that these women and their children fled, and also on the context of violence that they're returning to and the day-to-day dangers they're facing upon their return. The women generally are either fleeing really extreme, with whom I'm speaking, are fleeing either really extreme domestic violence or gang-based violence, and they were deported from the South Texas Family Residential Center in Dilley, Texas, and the Family Detention Center in Garden City, Texas, both of which are south of San Antonio. And they were deported from there in the past several months. And their lives here are very difficult. Some of them are planning on leaving right away to go back as soon as they can get the money. Most of them are afraid to leave their homes, and they're in grave danger. And for all of them, their relief was denied inside the detention centers. So those are the stories of the women I'm following, and then here I'm trying to understand the system in which this takes place with migration, but also this perpetuation of violence, and especially violence against women. Between 2005 and 2013, violent deaths of women in Honduras rose 263%. It's been considered an epidemic of violence against women here. And I'm trying to understand here what that means, what that means for the women who are facing it, what that means for the government, and what they're trying to do to make the situation better. And with this, I'm looking at how the situation in Honduras has changed in the last several years as the country has become a central middle point for narco-trafficking after the start of the Mexican drug war, and also how the situation on the ground here has changed after the coup in 2009, and government responses and non-governmental responses to femicides and also to internal displacement and forced migration, because it's all part of a cycle, and I've found that it's really important to report on multiple parts of it here and from different angles, and to also hearing so much of it about it on the U.S. side, about the surge at the border and detention centers and immigration policy. I'm grateful for this grant to be able to get on the ground here and to hear real stories and to hear the side of the story from Honduras, and to report out specific instances of migration and detention and deportation, and to also understand that although the numbers of people crossing and being apprehended in 2015 have decreased, there are more and more and more deportations from Mexico. It's anticipated that by the end of this year, the number of Central Americans deported from Mexico will have increased 70% from the previous year. So I've also been spending time at reception centers for migrants deported from the US, but also migrants deported from Mexico. And there's a bus that comes several times a day from Tapachula in Mexico that's sending migrants here. So it's understanding who are these people, why are they fleeing, and why are they coming? What is the situation they're coming back to?